There's a dollhouse hidden deep inside a museum, one that no one dares to talk about. It's small, delicate, and yet something inside it moves. Visitors whisper about the tiny shadow in the window, the eerie giggle echoing through empty halls, and the security guard who vanished. The scariest part? The dollhouse knows when you're watching. And if you listen closely, you might hear it whispering your name. Welcome to the Dollhouse Museum, a place filled with history, beauty, and an unsettling presence that no one dares to talk about. This museum holds hundreds of miniature houses, each crafted with exquisite detail. But there is one dollhouse that is different, one that has a story so disturbing that even the staff avoids it. A dollhouse that seems to have a life of its own. For years, visitors have spoken of strange occurrences. A child's giggle when no child is around. The faint sound of footsteps clicking against the wooden floors. A sense of being watched, an overwhelming feeling of dread as they approach the Wilkins Manor. The origins of this particular dollhouse are unclear. Some say it was a donation, others whisper that it simply appeared one morning, fully furnished, its tiny rooms perfectly arranged, as if someone had been living there. The museum staff kept it on display, charmed by its elegance. But soon, they started noticing oddities. Every morning, the dollhouse would be different. A chair slightly moved, a door left ajar. The tiny grandfather clock inside always showed a different time. Visitors began reporting glimpses of movement within the dollhouse. Small, dark figures flitting past the windows, disappearing before they could take a second look. Some swore they saw the reflection of a little girl staring back at them. The more people noticed these anomalies, the worse things became. One night, a security guard decided to keep an eye on the exhibit. He watched the cameras, eyes fixed on the small, delicate structure. For hours, nothing happened. Then, at precisely 3:12 a.m., the dollhouse's front door creaked open, slowly, deliberately, as if inviting something inside. The guard blinked, leaned in closer. The miniature lights inside the house flickered on, one by one. His heart pounded. Then he saw it. A tiny figure, no more than a few inches tall, stepped out onto the balcony of the dollhouse. A girl in a white dress, her long hair covering her face. She stood there, unmoving, her tiny porcelain hands gripping the railing. And then, in the grainy black and white footage, she lifted her head. Her mouth stretched open, impossibly wide. The screen glitched, and then darkness. When the guard awoke, he was no longer in the security room. He was sitting in front of the dollhouse, his hands ice cold, his breath shallow. The dollhouse was exactly as it had been the night before, its lights off, its door closed. But something was different. Something inside him felt hollow. He never returned to work. Other workers refused to go near the exhibit, and those who did always spoke of the same things. The whispers, the soft tapping sounds, the feeling of something small brushing against their legs. One day, a woman brought her young daughter to the museum. The child, innocent and full of wonder, ran towards the exhibit before her mother could stop her. She pressed her tiny fingers against the glass, her eyes wide with fascination. And then, she whispered something that sent chills down her mother's spine. "She wants to come out." Her mother yanked her away, but the child screamed, flailing in her arms. "No, she's lonely. She just wants to play." The museum director ordered the dollhouse to be removed, locked away in storage, hidden from the public. But strange things continued to happen. Employees would hear small knocks coming from inside the storage room. Some claimed they could hear soft, muffled sobs. And then, there were those who swore they saw the tiny lights flicker from behind the locked doors. No one knows where the dollhouse came from. No one knows who the girl is. But one thing is certain. She is still there, watching, waiting. And if you ever visit the museum, be careful. Because some say, if you listen closely, you can hear her whispering your name.